Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. We've definitely got our work cut out for us today. We've got this kid-painted Hot Wheels 55 Chevy Nomad station wagon. Now, as you can see, somebody went to town with some blue paint, and it's been around. It looks like it's got a lot of hard years playing in it. The plastic windshield on the inside is melted, so we're definitely going to have to replace that. We're going to do a wheel upgrade. We're going to upgrade it to real Redline tires. As you can tell, this one has the Redline tires at the axles that poke all the way through. Now, this is not an original Redline car. This came out later in the early 70s, so this is kind of like the second run, if you want to say. But anyways, we're going to do the best we can to get this ready to go, and stick around and have some fun. Here I've got the car. Now this car only has one post in the very front. It's held on by a clip in the back. Now the original 55 Nomad, the hood opened up on the car. This one is there solid. Now look at that. There's a star on the roof that we're going to have to peel off. And this was actually a chrome edition that somebody painted. And we might as well go ahead and file down this post while we're thinking about it. Go ahead and flatten it out. Get rid of those rough edges. And we'll get it ready to drill it out and put the screw into the post. Now this one here is a smaller post, so we're going to go ahead and use the 1-72 screws. Only one post, like I said. Here's the base. Got a lot of carpet mung in there, and everything on this car is painted, so we've got a lot of work to do to get this back down to the metal base and get it all nice and shiny. We'll get the grinder in there, and we'll take out the old wheels, and we'll put some new wheels in there. Interior's in really rough shape. I mean, we could use it again if we wanted to, but I've got a new one around somewhere. If you use a more modern 55 Chevy, the interior and the windshield will fit. Now, like I said, this one is all melted. There's no way of getting this one back to the way it was, so we'll have to replace that too. Let's go ahead and put it in our container so we don't lose any parts. Now, even the parts that were there originally that we're not going to use, let's go ahead and put them in there too. There we go. Grab yourself an adult beverage and let's get started. Okay, we've got the car here in the forceps, and we're going to dip it in the embalming fluid. Since we're going to be doing a complete color change, make sure you get the inside and the outside of the car. You want to make sure that you get any kind of paint off of there that you have. Let's go ahead and let it set on something here so it bubbles the paint off. And we'll set that off to the side and continue on with something else. Alright, here we got the base. Like I said, it's got a lot of carpet mung in there. We'll get that cleaned out, but we're just going to go ahead and take off these old wheels anyway. So here I've got my Dremel with my titanium bits. Make sure you're wearing your safety glasses here because you don't want to get any of these metal shavings in your eyes. Go ahead and grind those down. These titanium bits are fantastic. Now there's an entire kit that comes with these bits. It's about $18, and you can get those on my Amazon Marketplace page, which is in the comments. This is kind of boring here, so let's go ahead and speed this up. Now's a really good time to take a big old slug of your favorite adult beverage and just sit back and relax and enjoy. We'll go ahead and take a file and clean out those channels for the new axles we're going to put in. That looks good. Now let's take these abrasive wheels and remove as much of the paint we can and a lot of the oxidation also. Now a lot of times I would use a mixture of lime away and water to soak it in, but we needed to get that paint off there first. Now these abrasive wheels, I buy them in bags of 100 and they're about $15 to $18, and usually one is good for a car. You might be able to get two out of there, but one is the norm. They wear away pretty quick, but they work wonders. That's looking pretty good. Might go just a little bit farther. We still got the paint to remove around the headlights and the grill as best we can. And whatever you can't reach with that abrasive wheel, use a little pick or a razor blade and get in there and pick it out. Now we're going to use the flitz, one of my favorite products for my hobby. Put a little dab on there, rub it around, and you only need a little bit, folks. You can always add more later, but if you put too much on there, you're just wasting it. It doesn't take that much. Get yourself your buffing wheel, which I also buy in bags of 100, and they last a couple of cars usually. Just don't fire up your Dremel at full speed because you can burn the product and stain your metal. So keep it at a low setting and it will buff and it will work magic. Now the great people at Flitz have an offer for you. If you copy the link out of the comments that says the Uncle Paulie like you see there, you can buy anything you want to off the Flitz website and get a 20% discount off of anything you buy. When you go to checkout, put the word graveyard in the offer code and you'll get 20% off anything from Flitz that you want to buy. And this deal is exclusive for people who watch Diecast Graveyard videos. Like I said, man, I love this product, and I know I push it on my videos that I use the product, but you know, the reason I make these videos is for you guys. I mean, I could sit there and enjoy my hobby myself and sell my cars or collect my cars or whatever, but it's more fun when you do it with friends. And you guys ask questions and stuff, and I want to make sure that I share with you the things that I use in order to make my cars look good. So that's why I tell you about these products. And you say, well, you mention it every video. Well, there's a lot of times that people come here and they're here for the first time. All right? And that's the reason I do that also. Man, this stuff is working great. Now, depending on how much you want to get into it, you could definitely make this look like a mirror if you wanted to. But this is looking excellent for what we got. Now go ahead and wipe it down with a nice cloth, and then if you want to, you can put the Renaissance wax on there, and it'll keep it from tarnishing up. I'll mention Renaissance wax more in future videos. But man, that's looking absolutely sweet. There we go. Look how nice that looks. Definitely a lot better than when we started. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next step. Thank you, Flitz.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
All right, now we're going to build the brand new axles for this car. Now, like I said, this car here was not one of the original Redlines. This was a reproduction, and how you can tell that is that the Redline 55 Nomad, the hood opened up, and these cars here, the one that I'm working on, came with wheels where the axle comes all the way through the wheel. Now I got these bearings from Bearcat 3D Designs. Grizz makes a really good product here, and if you want to do this, get yourself some of these bearings. Now the back side of the bearing I'm going to take a file to and clean it up and get the little support tabs off there. This is the axle material I use, K&S brand 5499 and .020 music wire. K&S brand. Just do a search on eBay, on Hobby Lobby, etc. But I also have a link for this on my Amazon Marketplace page. And don't forget to subscribe. I got so much new content coming out, folks. Please subscribe, and I'll share with you what I do, and you know, if I make mistakes, I'll share them too, so you don't do it also. Cut yourself out a couple pieces of the piano wire, the music wire, approximately the same length. There we go. All right. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to flatten one end using these fence pliers. I got this idea from Xavier at Diecast Show Customs. Please check him out. He's got a great station and puts out a lot of great content. Diecast Show Customs. Give it a real hard squeeze, and you'll flatten out the end of the axle like you see here. Now, let me zoom in here. Anyway, we'll put the bearing on, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. You put that bearing on there, and you want to make sure that the end of the axle is not sticking out past the bearing. There we go. There's the flat end. It sticks out just a little tiny bit. Now you can trim that with your nippers, or you can take a file there and file down the very edge so it stays inside that little indentation on the bearing. My cat just told you hello. That's looking pretty good. Now just slide the bearing back up there and check it out and see if it's inside the bearing. There you go. And the reason we do that is if the axle is sticking out, when you go to put the tire on, that piece that sticks out will grind into your wheel and it won't roll freely. That's the reason we take that down. There's a little indentation on the bearing to help hide that little end of the bearing, okay? Now you don't have too much of a problem with that with the original wheels because it had a little nipple on the end. Since you're making these from scratch and you got to squeeze the end of the wheel so the bearing doesn't come off, you've got to compensate for that somehow. All right, this here will give me a rough idea how much more axle I need to cut off, but make sure you leave enough to where you use the fence pliers and squeeze the end of the axle, okay? Slide that down out of the way, snip off some of the excess. Hopefully you don't take too much. That's about right. There we go. Get your fence pliers. Now make sure they're inside the pliers enough. If they're on the very, very minimum edge, when you go to squeeze this, you're going to shoot it across the room and you're going to lose it, okay? Hey, does that sound like the voice of experience to you? You may even want to hold on to it when you go to do the squeeze if you can. All right, same thing here. Flatten out the edge of the axle so it goes inside the bearing. We still got a little bit more we can take off there. Let's see if we can snip it off without messing it up too bad. There we go. Hopefully there's still enough on there to hold the bearing on. All right. We can still file that down just a smidge. That should be enough. Now, look at that, all right? You got just enough play there so the wheels will roll free. Just make sure you center your axle when you go to glue it in. Now you can use epoxy, you can use super glue. Now epoxy is probably going to hold better over the long run, but the super glue, the gel kind I use, works pretty good too. Excellent. That's going to fit great. Now we'll go ahead and get to that front one. I went ahead and did the front one. I put the wheels on. Now you've seen me put wheels on before. If not, I got plenty of videos out there. It rolls nice and free. Now let's go ahead and take this black Sharpie with the fine tip, or the extra fine tip, and I'm going to go around the inside of the grill and then fill it in. There it is. It's done. It looks great. I use Sharpies for a lot of stuff like that, especially like the tail lights and the marker signals, etc. Those permanent markers are great, and you could also use paint pens. All right, now it's time to polish up the body of the car. Again, we're using the flitz. We got it all cleaned up, scrubbed it in the sink, and got the paint stripper off there. Now, like I said, we're going to polish this up. Now, when you do this again, you don't have to have it at full speed, or the full speed of your Dremel or whatever you're using, okay? Because you can burn the cream that you're putting on there and it'll leave a stain. Take your time, and you've heard me say that many, many times, and your product will come out fantastic. Now, if it looks like you need to do it more, put a little bit more flitz on there and polish it out some more. This is looking really, really good. I definitely like where this is going. While I'm talking about this, talking about subscriptions and stuff, guys, I got a lot of things coming up. And like I said, I make these videos for you, all right? It's a lot of fun making them and everything, and I do the best I can with my real job. This is my hobby. Now, people send me cars to do for them and like that, and the main thing I tell them is please be patient, okay? My real job, that's what pays the bills. And I do this when I get home and in the evenings and things like that. And I want to do this full time eventually when I go to retire. But, like I said, I can do stuff for you, but just please be patient when you send me stuff. I know it takes a long time sometimes, and some of these cars that I do for folks are incredibly tedious to do. I've been working on one for quite a while here where I'm doing a 1940 Ford pickup. It's a 1/18th scale, and I'm taking two trucks, putting them together, and making it a quad cab. Now, I've been working on that for a long time, and I just want to make sure that it's absolutely perfect, okay? But when the gentleman who ordered it from me gets it, he's going to be absolutely thrilled, I promise. And I do have a video coming out for that. That's looking pretty good. That's looking great. Now let's go ahead and clean it up with Zep degreaser. Get it cleaned up again and get it in the paint booth. Hey, here we are at the paint booth. This here car, we're painting it Spectre Flame Red. And I got this Spectre Flame Red at the Redline shop. Now when it comes to getting your Spectre Flame paints, I get all my Spectre Flame paints at the Redline shop. Check out what John has to offer, and you can see his products on his website at www.redlineshop.com. They've got the Spectre Flame paints. They've got some other paints there. They've got decals. They've got the world famous tires, the Redline tires that you use to replace and do your restorations and your Restomods. But the other thing is John used to make the hoods and the glass and stuff like that. But honestly, it just took up too much of his time. All right, and there's not really a big profit margin on these things, and this is why he decided to make a change and stop making the hoods and the glass. Now, there are plenty other places that you can get these things, but his biggest sellers are the wheels, the paint, and the decals. So check out the Redline shop for what he has to offer. Great products. I love the Spectre Flame paint, and you can't go wrong if you follow the directions that are on the bottle. Man, this is turning out great. From that blue hunk that we had to what we got now. Excellent.
The very next morning.
Okay, and this is where we got to. Here's the body of the car. Look how nice that turned out. The roof was even bent and tweaked, and we got that straightened out. But that turned out really beautiful. Here's the base, all polished up with those brand new wheels from the Redline shop. We got the bearings from Grizz at Bearcat 3D Designs. That looks fantastic, all polished up and pretty. I got a brand new windshield and interior from a newer 55 Chevy Nomad that I'm using to replace the old ones. And the white interior goes fantastic with this car. Let's put it together and have our reveal. And here's what we started with. This kid-painted, well-played with Hot Wheels 55 Chevy Nomad station wagon. The car was chrome originally, and now it's completely painted in blue to include your grill and your bumpers and everything else, the exhaust pipes even. The glass in there was melted and completely ruined, so we had to come up with a source to get a new glass for this also. The interior was in incredibly rough shape, and I wanted to do something new for it to make it look brand new. So we took everything apart, we stripped it down, we took the paint off, we polished it up with the flits, we put the brand new wheels on from the Redline shop, and then we painted it with Spectre Flame Red, also from the Redline shop, okay? And like I said, I want to make sure that you know where I get my products from. And this is how it turned out. Guys, look at this restoration, or in this case, a Restomod. It's absolutely beautiful. My friend Steve, this is his car, and he'll even tell you that when he sent this to me, it was a basket case. Now, like I said, that beautiful Spectre Flame Red paint that we put on there, and there's so many colors that are available. You could have done purple or green or blue or different shades of. You can also take your Spectre Flame paints and mix colors to make your own. That's one of the best things about this hobby. There are no rules. Do what you want, love what you want, and you can do this. Again, this is why I make these videos, folks. I make them for you, so you can enjoy the hobby as much as I do, and a lot of my other friends, like Jim Silva and John Sellers. Check those guys out. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today on Diecast Graveyard. Again, please hit the subscribe button, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. I got so many videos coming up, and I got some really big giveaways coming up soon, making up for lost time. My name is Paul with Diecast Graveyard. Thank you, and cheers.